Hello, everybody. I'm here to talk about Van Morrison class in the spring session. Van Morrison's amazing career has spanned 60 years, and in that time, he's produced 45 studio albums containing hundreds of original songs. His eclectic career has seen him range from the early blues based days of his Belfast based Irish band Them to his acclaimed masterpieces, Astral Weeks and Moondance, into the 1970s, when Van parlayed R&B based rock into superstardom. Now, for the past almost 60 years, Van Morrison has eloquently displayed the ability to go from one genre to another, sometimes seamlessly, yet always staying true to his roots. Rhythm and blues and the Celtic folk of his ancestors are his twin roots. In this class, we will break down his career into eight periods, actually coinciding with the artist's evolving development as a man and as a musician. So in this 8-week class, which starts Tuesday, April 2nd, we're going to examine the arc of Van's remarkable career. In addition to chronicling the evolution of his songwriting and recording career, I'm going to delve into his roots, his biography, his family a little bit, his tremendous versatility of styles, and his poetry. With that in mind, we'll look at the different American musical genres that influenced him, most notably blues, jazz, rhythm and blues, early rock and roll, and even country music. We'll also look at his Irish folk music roots, which are deep, part of his DNA. And we will reference a few great English and Irish poets along the way that influenced his worldview, one that is steeped in spiritualism, mysticism, and humanism. Week 1, we'll talk about the early life in Belfast. The misfit becomes a rock star. The early 60s and the ahead of its time R&B British invasion band known as Them. Week 2, America Beckons. The story of Burt Burns, the tragic producer-songwriter genius, a top 40 hit, and a timeless masterpiece, 1968's Astral Weeks. We will break down the record song by song and play it in its entirety. Week 3, we will do the same thing with his next record, Moondance, 1969, another classic album. Week 4, the early 70s, a move to the Bay Area, Marin, fatherhood, divorce, success, critical acclaim, and confusion. Week 5, the latter part of that decade of the 70s, the live performer Van evolves, the notoriously curmudgeon performer, and the Irish master reclaims his heritage and he spreads his wings artistically. Week 6, the 1980s, Van in his mid-30s and early 40s, he goes back to the United Kingdom, spends time in London and Belfast. He continues to explore his Celtic and rhythm and blues roots, hooks up with the Chieftains, the legendary Irish band, references William Blake, Yeats, spirituality, and faith. Week 7, the 1990s, Van gets totally sober, a spiritual awakening, compilation records, his greatest hits, A New Love and Marriage, Trials and Tribulations, Knighthood, believe it or not, and the maturation of a true artist. The final week, week 8, 2000 to the present, 43 albums. Amazing. The road goes on forever. In the words of Harlan Howard, the great country songwriter, 3 chords and the truth. It's too late to stop now for Van. But in 2021, after a dangerous bout with anti-vax and anti-mask, and really being a thorn in the side of the UK powers that be, Van veers off into dangerous territory with his, quote, record project. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with what I do in class, I've been doing it here for almost 10 years. A background lecture and slideshow with a lot of really cool photos, several high-resolution original audio tracks, and cold archival video clips that show Van performing over the years. Then, for this class, we're going to read and discuss some fine poetry by Van and others. And of course, as always, some personal stories, and I've got some pretty good ones about Van Morrison. Finally, now why Van Morrison? There's a lot of people I could do total classes on, I'll tell you. First, Van is one of only 3 great musicians of the rock era that I know about, who is an excellent songwriter, whose lyrics have redefined rock and roll, who has an enormous body of recorded work, over 40 records, has traversed a huge landscape of genres with his work and has never, in over 58 years of performing and recording, he's never stopped. He's never taken a long sabbatical from playing shows and making records. The other two people I can think of that fit that description are Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen. Second, to me, as a musician myself, who's worked mainly in the rock world, for all these years, Van has been one of my total all-time heroes. His brilliance as a singer and a songwriter is matched only by his legendary aloofness, shyness, and often very antisocial behavior, kind of like Bob Dylan. And of course, the polar opposite of Bruce Springsteen. But they do have many things in common, which you'll learn if you take this class. And finally, of my 14 courses that I've created for Ollie over the years, all of which have been debuted through Ollie Cal at the Freight, all on popular music of the last half of the 20th century, only 2 of those courses have featured individuals, this one and the one I teach on Bruce Springsteen. All the others, as you know, have been kind of large, Ken Burns-like topics where, given our limited time, I necessarily have to avoid getting into much detail or depth. Well, folks, this is our chance to get to know a guy who I hope, after 8 weeks of experiencing his amazing singing voice and artistic versatility, not unlike Linda Ronstadt, who I also teach in this class, we're going to see great songs, terrific recordings, mystical poetry, Irish sensibility, and most of all, just beautiful, pure soul music. I hope you'll feel something was exchanged during our class, and that's all I'm looking for. I hope y'all can make it. Bye-bye.